everyone. This is Dr. Leslie Birkland, and I am here with our vibration and goals expert, Mr. Nick Brighter. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Well, today we're going to be talking about visualization, visualizing things so that we have a good outcome. And what that means is we use our thoughts, we use our feelings, we use, images, and it's also known as picturing. So we picture how we want an event to turn out. And it's by just, taking some time and closing your eyes and actually visualizing, a good outcome. So it's
Okay.
a great technique. People
So
have
it
been
sounds
using.
like it has some performance benefits.
It does. I have a little kind of story. The very first time I even heard of it, I was about
Let's
12
hear it.
years old. I was snow skiing. I was on the bus, going up with my friends, snow skiing. And there was somebody sitting next to me that was sort of looked like they were meditating. I didn't even know what that was. And so afterwards I asked him, I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the person who was just a kid, a little kid my age, 12, said that they were using their mind and imagining and picturing themselves being a better skier. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. It seemed odd, but interesting. And so I did it. And I really, truly put myself in the place of an actual great skier and visualized this. And sure enough, I had the best day of skiing ever. So just from a random opportunity of meeting somebody. And that was basically my introduction to visualization.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Well, what are some other benefits for visualization?
well, the reason why it's beneficial is because we do have control of our lives and we do have control of our futures. So why not control it in a positive way? Why not control what's going to happen at your next job interview? What's going to happen at your next speaking engagement? What's going to happen at your next sporting event where you're a participant? How is that going to play out? So in fact, Nick, some of the best athletes, competitive athletes, Olympians, use visualization. They actually visualize themselves winning. They visualize themselves, doing the actual activity and how it actually plays out. And all of them do it. As far as I know, the ones that win typically do that. They do some visualization techniques.
Okay. Let's. Can you give us some of the techniques, some of the steps someone would take to?
Well, yes, I would be happy to.
There's do visualization.
Yeah, exactly. There's many ways. Most of the time, if you are alone and by yourself, and it's prior to a future event, you can just sit there and envision how the event is going to play out. So you sit there, it takes about 15 minutes to really get, a good picture, and remember it has to be prior to the event. And you just envision, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to play golf this weekend for all you golfers out there. And how do I want it to go? How do I want even the conversation to go? So you step out and you try to visualize yourself actually playing the game and playing it well.
So the first thing you're doing is identifying what you even want first off there?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
You have to have, your goal or your dream or your wishes, how you want it to play out. So once that's identified, then you will go back and envision it. Basically, just visualize it in your mind, you physically doing that activity. And there's two ways to do it. You can either envision that you're actually doing the activity, or you can visualize that you're watching yourself on like a TV screen doing the activity and doing it how you would like it to play out. So,
okay.
Yes. So
now, I know something I've heard before is visualizing each step.
That is important because sometimes
that is an important step.
Yeah, exactly. Do not be vague. I don't recommend that you're vague. So be very specific. Even the smells around you, the size of the space, the motion of the people, using all your senses, you're hearing and seeing and feeling and everything. So incorporate all that as you're visualizing how you want it to play out. And that's also important.
Okay. So something else I've heard along with that, with the playing out each step, and let me know your thoughts on this. The idea being not just visualizing the outcome, but all the beginning steps leading up to the outcome.
Yes, there is a beginning. So when the event is going to start, even envisioning yourself arriving at the event, that's going to go smoothly, and picturing, how you're even going to walk in, even your conversations. Okay. Dialogue is very important.
I think I have an example I could maybe use, if I may.
Okay. Yes, of course.
So if someone was a football player and they're hoping to score some touchdowns that game, to not just visualize themselves catching the ball in the end zone, but, the play from the very beginning, and maybe the plays leading up to that point.
Yes, and the people around you and all your teammates and the crowd and the smell of the air and the smell of the asphalt,
Okay, so you're really picturing the whole...
Yes.
You're trying to make as realistic environment in your mind as possible.
Yes, because the outcome, you have more success. You have more success in achieving your ultimate goal, which is to have it go well, have it go your way.
Is there any other steps along that?
Well, the funny thing is sometimes,
or anything other to mention, I guess.
Well, I've done some research, and I can tell you that you can do it in the time frame that works for you. Sometimes some researchers say it's best if the room is quiet and you do it, an hour prior to the event. You can do it as you're driving to the event. You can do it, as you're actually sitting. If let's say you're that football player, you're sitting there and you're about to go on the field. The coach is going to call you to go out in the field. As you're sitting there, you can visualize. So even though there's distractions around you, that's okay. There's no rules or regulations. 5 to 15 minutes is good if you have some time to do it prior. I can always tell when somebody is using, the technique and going through the different steps because they're usually quiet. Now, sometimes someone may feel that person is being aloof or not talkative, but they're really just focusing on what they need to do and using visualization techniques. So it's pretty extraordinary, and it works. That's the nice thing. It works.
I can see that in a high performance environment. Some people they're mentally preparing themselves through visualization and whatever other techniques they use to prepare themselves.
Yes. And when you're doing it, the only thing is to not think negative thoughts. So if you're watching, let's say, we'll use your example, the football player, you don't want to watch a bunch of people having horrible plays, because you don't want that to enter your mind. You just really want to focus on how you want it to play out, how your body's going to do it, how it's going to feel. I talk about everyone.
So are you instead of that visualizing ideal plays?
Absolutely.
As things were okay.
Well, if you're smart, you
if
visualize just average plays.
Average plays, yeah.
You don't want your visualization techniques to be, showy. But what's interesting, lastly, I'd like to just share one thing. A lot of people don't realize that they visualize all day long. We are always thinking about things. But I call it unconscious visualization. And unfortunately, sometimes our ego and our fears play into that. So what we're visualizing is things of the worst case scenario of what could happen. And that's something that you have control over. So don't let your ego or the fears of what might happen, because if that's what you focus on and that's what your mind is thinking and that's what you're picturing, then the odds are that that actually will happen.
Okay.
So let's keep it positive. And, I think that people should visualize every day. I do. I visualize every day, and I'm sure that you do too. Do you?
I guess it's something that we all do. So I guess I do it. I would say yes. I'm familiar with. I'm a little familiar with what you're talking about. Yeah, I do some visualization.
It's really extraordinary. It's extraordinary because it works.
I think I could apply it more because it's not really something that I really thought about as a technique for that purpose, I suppose.
Exactly. Like Nick, it could be a job interview, use the, visualizing techniques. It could be a sport that you're participating where you're a participant. It could be you're just socializing with friends. How do you want that to play out? It could be a family event. Maybe there's somebody who's egregious or always displeased with something. And, visualize that that's going to go well. Visualize how you're going to react. Let's say you have somebody that's a real reactive
does play
person.
Into some of our some related things to our other episodes that essentially, where your attention is going to be more likely what you're going to attract into your life. And this visualization seems similar. So visualize your best performance, not as opposed to your worst.
Exactly.
Visualize your best.
Exactly. Excellent. You know what, Nick? I think that you really just summed that up perfectly. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we hope that you use these techniques and that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone.